Okay, next thing over here, talk about, okay, in halacha it says like this, you're not supposed to walk 6 feet without a head covering. The Gemara tells a story to the Rav Nachman by Yitzchak's mother when he was a baby. His mother was told by the stargazers that he's going to become a ganef, a thief. So from that time on, she made sure his head was always covered and that he should have what's called the fear of Hashem upon his head. Now, in many opinions say it's not actually halacha, it's not a negative commandment, it's what's called tznius, it's modesty. Some poskim say no, it's taka negative commandment of going amongst the goyim. It's very interesting. There's a lot of leniencies that people have to be in business. There's leniencies in halacha for people that not to wear a kippah. But the main thing is an interesting thing that the Sfardim are not as careful with the concept of a kippah than the Ashkenazim are. The reason for that is because the purpose of that is what's called chukasem le'selecha. You shouldn't follow in the ways of the goyim. Now, in the Sephardic countries, people wore turbans. So they actually never went with uncovered hair. So they didn't uncover the hair to be like the Goyim, because the Goyim did cover their hair. So, but again, in Shulchan Aruch it says that the person should not walk 4 amas and definitely not to make a bracha.
Judaism was hidden.
Huh?
In those countries, Judaism was hidden.
I understand.
So, if you wear a kippah, they knew you were Jewish.
No, it could be a head covering, it could be a baseball cap, it could be a turban.
Oh, that was,
The Rambam, I don't think, wore a kippah. The Rambam wore a turban. You see in the pictures, the Rambam wore a turban. Now, it's interesting, it's called, in Hebrew it's called kippah, because kippah means a cover. In Yiddish it's called a yarmulke. Now, where does the word yarmulke come from? Yarmulke comes from 2 words, Yarei Malka, the fear of the king. That's the origin of yarmulke. Why is it called yarmulke? Because 2 words, Yarei Malka. So when you say it fast, it's yarmulke. But that's what the source is. That Rav Nachman Yitzchak's mother Taka made sure he covered his head, and therefore he ended up not becoming the thief that they predicted it'll be. But definitely you can't make a bracha with your hair uncovered. That's for sure. And if you want to cover your own head with your own hand, so it says that's not good enough to make a bracha. Why isn't it good enough to make a bracha? Because you can't cover yourself with yourself. Okay, we learned that concept in Chassidus many times. You can't cover yourself with yourself. So if I put my hand, I need to make a bracha, so I don't have a kippah, I'm going to put my hand on top of my head, it's not a covering because it's also me. But if somebody else puts their hand on top of you, that is good, because then it's not you. So yarmulke would be valid. Oh, one second, I'm coming. Or a garment or a sleeve or whatever. Now, in many places, it's rooted in a Mishnah and Peah, but there's a concept of Kabbalah that you wear double covers. That's why people wear the talis over their heads, or they wear hats and all that. So now the question is, if somebody, let's say, has a yarmulke, a kippah, and they want to have a double covering, can they put their hand on top of the yarmulke as a separate covering? And the answer to that is you could, because then the hand is not covering the head, the hand is covering the kippah, the yarmulke, and that is a covering. So that is valid as a second covering. But what?
What points do we need the double covering as per Kabbalah?
Basically, davening, generally speaking, if you make a bracha, sometimes people were careful with that, not careful with that, but you're making a bracha, saying Hashem's name, basically.
So it comes from Kabbalah?
It's rooted in the Mishnah and Peah, it says, but they used to wear double covering. But generally speaking, it's a Kabbalah, to have 2 makifim.
The lining of the kippah doesn't...
No, because it's interesting. Some people... The reason why the lining of the yarmulke, the kippah, is not called because it's sewed together. If it's sewed together, it's one entity. But if somebody would wear a double kippah, or even, well, let's say put a paper towel and the yarmulke on top of the paper towel, That would be a double covering.
And the paper towel in this case is not.
But it's better the second cover.
So yeah, I'm saying if you make it look respectful.
How about to read the Chumash?
No, that you don't need.
But there's the name of Hashem.
No, it's saying when you're davening the name of Hashem, not learning the name of Hashem. In many circles, by the way, in many of the Hasidic, not Chabad, but many Hasidic circles, they will never learn without a hat and a jacket and a gartel. In many of the Ger in those places, they will always wear a hat and jacket when they're learning a whole day, and they'll even wear a gartel.
But you alter the handkerchief to make it acceptable if you tie the knots in the corners.
Yeah, if somebody, let's say, is somewhere, they don't have a kippah and they need to make a bracha, so they could take a handkerchief, yeah.
Without,
Yeah, just put it on the head.
Handkerchief, just put it on top.
Correct, correct.
minimum size is,
Minimum size, it has to cover the majority. Bais Din, it says in Poskim, right, it has to cover the majority of your head. What they used to call the Coca-Cola bottle cap keepers, you know, this big.
Water one.
Huh?
The one that looks like water.
Yeah, I'm saying they used to call them the Coca-Cola keeper caps. Whatever, let's not talk about people, let's talk about concepts. Yeah, it has to cover, it has to cover the majority of the head, of the top of the head. Okay, next thing is like this. In Shulchan Aruch it says, it's a Gemara really, it's brought down in everybody, that a man is not allowed to walk between two women are not allowed to, a woman is not allowed to walk between two men, works both ways. A man should not walk between two women, a woman should not walk between two men, and they even, like an animal, like a dog, or also should make sure not to allow a dog to walk between two people. Now this din, by the way, doesn't apply, therefore if you notice many people would be careful, they won't sit if there's a woman in between them, or the man won't sit between two women, or go walk between two women. In many places, I mean, in halacha, it's a din Shulchan Aruch, it's not Kabbalah, it's a din Shulchan Aruch. Lo yesh lizor shliilech ish ben shnei anoshim, le ben shnei klovim, shnei chazerim, and a man should not have a woman walk between them either. So there is such a din. But that din doesn't apply like to families. Like a husband could sit between his wife and a daughter. You know, that close family, the din don't apply.
But his wife and different women, he cannot.
It's not clear about that, but some people are more makel because it's still his wife. And one side, so it's not, whatever. It's not.
Airplane assigned seat between two women.
Assigned seats, you have no choice basically, unless if you're the frum guys that make all the trouble on the planes to Israel, you know? All the fights in the planes to Israel. If it's a designated seat, and especially when there's an armrest in between, so it's, as it is, it's a partial machitz, it's a separate seat, so it's not so bad.
and holding your tzitzis.
Huh?
When you walk, what's that?
I heard once.
Lo
if you have no
shemaiti.
choice, you have to walk like to cross between two women, you cannot be adopted or something.
I didn't see it. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't say anywhere. I didn't see it anywhere.
I heard it, I didn't see it.
Okay. Okay, next.
Did you mention not to walk between two dogs?
Yeah. Or having a dog walk between two people. By the way, that means four-legged dogs, not two-legged dogs. Four-legged dogs.
So if two people are walking a dog, you can't go, they're going on.
Ideally, you shouldn't.
What?
Shulchan Aruch, Gemara.
No reason?
Huh?
What's the reason for
It has to do with ruach, whatever. But it's equal, a man between two women and women between two men, so it's not any, with gender neutral. Not in this, halacha is gender neutral.
Not because of sneeze?
Huh?
Not because of sneeze? Because of the shash and the...
No, it's not that. Okay, next thing over here is about davening in a place that's clean. Okay, there's another interesting thing, by the way. Okay, another thing that people are unaware of. I just heard the other day in the mikveh, somebody said Shalom Aleichem. In a bathroom or a mikveh, or in a shower room, you're not allowed to say any names of Hashem. You're not allowed to say anything of holiness. You're not allowed to say, halachically, you're not allowed to even think Torah, you're not allowed to think Kedusha. But you're not allowed to say names of Hashem, even if it's not in Hebrew. For instance, in a mikvah or in a bathroom, you're not allowed to say, oh, God said so. Even to use the name G-O-D, even though it's not in Hebrew, but it's forbidden to say a Davar Shebekadusha in a bathroom or a bathhouse. Therefore, in fact, you're not allowed to say Shalom Aleichem in a mikvah. When you walk into a mikvah or whatever, a gym, Shabbat Shalom, they shouldn't be saying. But they shouldn't say to somebody, oh, Shalom Aleichem. Because you meet all these people in the mikvah that, just roll in from different places. You can say bless you, but you can't say God bless you.
Now with the corona, somebody sneezed, they shoot him.
No, that's over. One second. So you can't say Shalom Aleichem in a mikvah. So in fact, there's a tshuva of the Moshe finds as a tshuva, what happens if somebody's name is Shalom? That's his name. So you're allowed to call him in a mikvah. Can you say, hey Shalom, here's a place, whatever. So then is that you're allowed to do? Because then you mean it as a name of a person. You're not saying it Shalom Aleichem, but there's another interesting point. In the time of the Bais Din, they didn't say Shalom Aleichem. They said Hashem Aleichem. Yeah. If you ever learn the book of Rus, in the story when Boaz met the workers, he said Hashem Aleichem. No, he said the real way. Hashem Aleichem. So he didn't say Shalom Aleichem. In the time of the Bais Din, people used to greet each other with Hashem Aleichem, pronouncing Hashem the real way. But afterwards, we're not in that level anymore. So they say Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem is not also, Shalom is one of the names of Hashem. So when you say Shalom Aleichem, it's a kosher way of saying basically Hashem Aleichem. So therefore, in a bathroom, a bathhouse, whatever, you're not allowed to say Shalom Aleichem. But if a guy's name is Shalom, then you can call him Shalom. Yeah, but I'm saying these are names that are distinctively Hashem's.
You're listening to a Vaad Rabbonim Lubavitch, and you're walking, let's say, in the gym, and you want to have to go to the restroom.
You have to take off the things.
Stop.
You have to take your earrings off.
Just stop.
Yeah.
How about the word Shabbat and Shabbos?
Huh?
The word Shabbat and Shabbos. You make it.
I know there are people that don't.
What was the question?
Can you say good Shabbos in a mikveh? Can you say the word Shabbos in a mikveh? So halachically you could. But I'll never forget, there was a very big Rav in Chicago when I was growing up. He was very close to my father. It was the Vaitz in the Ruv. He was very big by Satmar. He was a very, very special Jew. So when we used to meet him in the mikveh, there was one mikveh in the city and far away. Anyway, so he wouldn't say Shabbos, the word Shabbos in the mikveh. He would say, he speak Yiddish, he would say the Zibiter, the seventh one. He didn't call it, he didn't want to say Shabbos in the mikveh. So he said, yeah, sein bris is given of the Zibiter. His bris was on Shabbos, so he said the seventh one, seventh day. But the people today are all makot that they say good Shabbos in the mikveh. You shouldn't say Shabbos Shalom in the mikveh because, again, Shalom is the name of Hashem, so you shouldn't do it. In Kitzur, by the way, he brings down that even if a guy's name is Shalom, Yesh Eisrim, some people forbid it, but Lepel, Yesh Matinu, and the meaning is that you do call somebody in the mikveh of his name Shalom. Another interesting din, and we'll finish with that, and that is like this. There's a din in halacha that the heart is not allowed to see the lower parts of the body when you daven. The Gemara calls it shouldn't be libay reyes ha'erva. The heart shouldn't see the nakedness. Therefore, in the time of biblical times, or even later in the time of the Gemara, people didn't wear shirts and pants like we have today. They used to wear a long garment, not necessarily with any underwear underneath it. So then, when somebody davened, it was mandatory to wear a garter or a belt. It was mandatory to wear a separation between, and where you find this more common, by the way, is if somebody, God forbid, is in a hospital, and they give you a hospital gown, So you're not wearing shirt and pants. And you want to daven, if you're in the hospital and you're having a hospital gown, you must wear a belt or a gartel or a string to separate. Halachically, you're not allowed to say Shema.
Even if you're not married.
No, it doesn't do with marriage. It's the din of Liber Esev.
Underwear doesn't.
B'chadi don't like, it doesn't say underwear is not. Shirt and pants, Taisus and Shabbos. That's why a lot of people why do people not wear gartel today? So Taisus in the Gemara Shabbos, when he speaks about it, says that nowadays we have shirts and pants, so there's anyway separation between the heart and the lower parts of the body. But by underwear, they don't count it.
Why not?
Because it's not a garment.